Hey everybody, this is Russian Rick, and I'm here to share my trip down to the famous Hi'ilawe waterfall and the beautiful black sand beach that the river runs into in Waipio Valley. I want to preface this by saying that this was not my Jeep. It was a rental that I got through Turo, which is a car rental service like Airbnb. The owner of the Jeep did not have any restrictions on where I could go with this Jeep Wrangler Rubicon, and I had no intentions of putting myself or the vehicle in a risky situation that was anywhere near the limits of my experience off-road. This Rubicon was equipped with a 2-inch lift and 35-inch tires. If you happen to be on the Big Island and want to do this drive, please keep in mind that this road is restricted to vehicles with actual four-wheel drive. All-wheel drive is not four-wheel drive. The primary difficulty on this trail is the steepness and narrowness of the entrance road. The advantage of having a transfer case with low range is that you won't be relying solely on your brakes to slow your descent, and you will be giving your engine an advantage when climbing back out. On this particular day, traction was not an issue because the road down was dry. There were several places where channels have been cut into the access road to help with drainage and grip in heavy rain. If conditions are wet, make sure you have decent tread depth on your tires. Above all, I would say that if you are not the owner of your vehicle and the owner doesn't want you to go places like this, then you should consider hiking down or utilizing one of the tour bus services that will take you down to see the waterfall from the view area that you will see later in this video. Having said all of that, this was probably my favorite place to visit on the Big Island for several reasons. First of all of those being that it is remote. I love going to places where there aren't crowds of touristy types. Okay, here you can see one of the several spots where the road gets very narrow and descending vehicles are meant to stop at these designated locations and yield to climbing traffic. Another thing that is worth mentioning here is that hikers are supposed to yield to vehicle traffic. This is a popular spot for hikers, as you can see from the number of people that I pass on the road, but it is also an access road for all of the people that live down in this valley. I know this area used to be a place of refuge. For those of you that may not know, ancient Hawaiian laws were very strict and many punishments were fatal. But they had a way that you could get out of being killed. That was to make it to a place of refuge before the people around you managed to beat you to death for breaking a sacred law. Once you made it to a place of refuge, or pu'uhanua, then a priest could absolve your crime. There is a national park on the other side of the island that has this well documented, so if you are visiting the Big Island, I highly suggest you stop by Pu'uhanua o Hauna'una'u. After you visit the national park, there is an absolutely phenomenal place to snorkel just outside that place of refuge called Two Step. Here's the turn to head towards the beach, and I will come back to that later, but for now I'm going to head down the road to the left to find the waterfall. You'll have to forgive me gushing over the jungle aesthetic of this trail. This is so different to the high desert and sandstone that I'm used to seeing in my home state of Utah. I love how green everything is and seeing all the vines. It's just beautiful. You can see the river down on the right. Later, while we were playing on the beach, the water was so delightful because the ocean water was warm and the water flowing in from the river was cold. I'm catching up to one of those tour vans, and I've got to say that seeing those giant vans made me a lot less apprehensive about traversing this trail in this Jeep. Gee, I wonder what they're stopped for. Yeah. There's the first view of the waterfall, so be cautious going around this corner. There might be a tour van stopped there to let people take pictures. The Waipio Falls drop a cumulative height of 1,450 feet, with the main fall being over 1,200 feet. They are intermittent since there isn't much of an area above them for water to accumulate. Many people online report visiting the valley and not seeing the waterfall because the stream was too dry or was being diverted for irrigation. I've heard this about Niagara Falls too, that it gets diverted regularly. I'm going to pause here and let my wife get a picture while the tour bus gets a bit further ahead. This also gives me a moment to take it in. Watch me grab my phone. Anyone notice the no parking signs? I'm sure lots of people stop here to take pictures of the falls, but if you pull ahead just a little, the best place to stop and get a picture is up here on the right. I'm going to social distance and keep driving down the road a bit and see what there is to see. Lots of private land in Waipio Valley, so be mindful of that. My wife thought she saw a banana tree up here. I was paying more attention to the road. Okay, here's the first river crossing. I've crossed rivers like this in much lesser vehicles, but seeing all the other 4x4s parked here made me think twice, so you see me preparing to turn around. I see someone coming, so I pull off to the side to let them through. At this point, there is a couple off to my passenger side that is putting their shoes back on after wading through the water. They goad me on, saying, "You sure have the vehicle for it." There they are, so if I get stuck or wreck this Jeep, I have the people I want to blame on camera. I was always taught to approach water crossings with caution. This one was super easy, and the rock sliders on my Jeep didn't even get wet. I'm not even sure if my rims really got wet. This part started to seem really narrow to me, and right here where the rock wall is on both sides, I was trying to peek out the window to make sure I wasn't going to rub anything. But there was more than enough room for this Jeep to fit through. Sure is nice of these pedestrians to get out of the way for the lazy people in the Jeep. Here we have the end of the county road. The biggest reason I turned around was because it said that the rest of the road is private property. This water crossing doesn't look bad, but honestly I wanted to check out the beach. After turning around, we stopped for a minute to get some pictures. Since we have already seen the road up to this point, the next section will be sped up as we go down to the beach. You can see that the tour vans do go through the water crossing. There was some sort of shrine or altar off the side of the road to the beach. I did some searching online to try to find out what it was, but couldn't find anything. There were two people that looked like they were taking care of it. The fresh flowers and the neatly cut grass were beautiful. I paused long enough to take a picture, but didn't want to interfere with what they were doing. The rest of the road to the beach is wet, but not muddy. I dropped down a little hard onto the last of the puddles and it splashed up on my hood and windscreen. The black sand beach was absolutely gorgeous. The surf was great for kids. It was a little rocky where the water gets about waist deep, but the waves were big enough for some people to bring surfboards. More people showed up, but the area never felt crowded while we were there. Sunset is only a couple hours away and there are a lot more people going down. We had an appointment over in Kona that we didn't want to be late for, so we are on the way out. I put the Rubicon in 4 low so the engine wouldn't have to work as hard on the steep climb back up. It really was quite steep. Waipio Valley is only about an hour away from the big resorts near Kona, and if you go on a Saturday, then there is a large farmers market in Waimea. If you are in the area and have access to a capable vehicle, I highly recommend a stop at Waipio Valley. It was my #1 favorite beach on the island. Certainly better than all of those plain white sand beaches with all the resorts next to them. I mean, who wants that noise?